What is going on, everybody? This is your Lex Warrior, and we are back at it in the pit. This is the big project I was telling you about in the football video. And basically, to survive quarantine, we have decided to hit each other with swords and shields. Makes sense? Cool. My family and a friend are doing this. So without further ado, we're just going to get right into the gear, which is the point of this video. My sword, really short, stubby thing. I call it a club because basically it is. Everybody has a sword. They're all different. The shields aren't really different. It's just a design thing and how you use them. Mine's green and yellow because those are my colors. As you can see, I got this really cool t-shirt thing. Helmet. It's got the eagle thing that I do. My number looks all cool. And a little bit about the fighting style that I'm using. It's a mix between a Scandinavian and a European fighting style. The stance is all Scandinavian, but the use of the shield and sword are all European. It's basically using your shield a bunch just to get a little stab in on your opponent. And it's worked out pretty well since I'm the #1 overall person in this fight. Now we're going to switch it over to Brady and he'll tell you about his stuff.
So, my weapon, I did have a bigger sword, but in our ranking fight, it split and it is turned into a katana, which has made it a lot easier to use. My fighting style is more of a, kind of a Japanese samurai. My shield, it's just, they're all the same, just designs are different. My colors are blue and silver, or kind of going for a silver as you can see, but my fighting styles, there's no real stance, but the fighting style is more of a Japanese samurai. And that's it. Moving on over to Ella.
So, my shield is basically the same as theirs. I just have my colors, they're more of purple and teal. My sword's about the same size as Matthew's, just a different design. This is my shirt I have. It has my symbol is a lion on the back. And yeah, turning it up. I don't really have a overall fighting technique. I just have stab and go.
Before we get to my gear breakdown, we have our shield table and a sword table. We have a kind of a cinematic sword, which was one we picked up at a Renaissance fair and I painted, very basic. We use this one for any thumbnail shots or anything that doesn't really require hitting, because this thing will shatter. We've also created two really quick, just basic training swords, should ours break during the middle of a fight, or we just want to go a few training rounds, and we don't want to risk scratching up our gear. Now my colors are red and black, as you can see, and this is my station, which is literally just a chair. A little bit of a gear breakdown. My helmet is very simple, just black with a little bit of an undercoat of red. I have had the Game of Thrones Targaryen's sigil on here for a while, and Dracarys, which of course if you don't know from Game of Thrones is the word for fire. And this is the helmet I use. As far as equipment, it's very basic. I mean, I'm using my lacrosse shoulder pads, I'm using a football flak jacket, 2 arm sleeves, one for my shield, one for my sword arm. The sword arm has a bit more protection with an shoulder pad and an elbow guard. My shield is built just like all the others, and once again has a Targaryen logo. The only difference is the middle head of the dragon would not stick during vinyl transfer. I mean, and it equips just the same way as all the other does, just slides over the arm. There you go. As far as swords, this is mine. This is Zarok, which from the Inheritance series, if you don't know, means misery, and it is signature for its crimson red blade. It is a one-handed sword. I normally was a hand and a half, however, I was not able to make that big of a hilt here. With a custom crossguard and a middle-length blade, longer than Matthew's, but not quite as long as Brady's. And because of the handle length, I have to take a one-handed sword fighting approach, which pairs well because I do end up using my shield quite a decent amount. My style is a bit more of a traditional Norwegian broadsword. My stance is very similar. They'll keep the sword very high and the shield kind of in the middle. And my main thing is I can use pressure very well. If I am quick to attack and I can keep up the same strike going over and over, usually I can catch my opponents on their heels and they'll open up in a mistake, which will then typically lead for a slash. However, that being said, Matthew did say he was top in the rankings battle. That is true. I believe I'm second.
Yeah.
Only because my original Zarok broke during our fight, and I was left using Brady's sword, caused it to split, which then he fought with later to cause it to break, and then I eventually was using Ella's very short sword.
And I won.
So he won simply because I had no more gear to use. However, during the fight tomorrow, you'll see what happens, and we'll go from there. The match will start out with Matthew versus Brady in a one-on-one, then me versus Ella in a one-on-one. We will have a loser's bracket, and the losers will fight. It's double elimination. And then whoever wins from each will play. The loser will play the loser, and then they will get a rematch with the champion. And they will have to beat the champion twice, assuming they don't lose the first time. So we are planning a double elimination with 4 people.
We are live streaming that at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Make sure you're on for that.
Indeed. So that's pretty much it from here from the pit. We'll see you tomorrow.
Alright, thank you everybody so much for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye.